Standout here, coming at you with another video. And this video I'm so excited about, so many of you, and I'm so excited to finally get into it because I want to put all of these myths to rest. Okay, so in this video, I'm going to give you guys the real hair chart, the real natural hair chart, and how you can really determine your hair and what is best for you. Because here on YouTube, we see so many different amazing influencers and creators that teach you different things. But what you guys don't understand is the science behind your hair. Because just because somebody's hair looks like yours, like you guys may have the same texture of hair, does not mean that you have the same texture. So right now I'm going to teach you how to determine the real life texture of your hair. So I know a lot of people gonna want to fight over this, and people grandchildren gonna be in the comments, but the whole hair typing chart is not real, you guys, and nor is it accurate. And you will hear it's like 50-50. Some hairstylists are like all for it, like yes, and then other hairstylists like myself are kind of like okay, it's cool, like it's a nice thing to so people can understand their curl pattern, but it's not Bible at all, like not even a little bit. And I feel like the actual typing chart, the hair typing chart, has hurt the natural hair community more than help. And I'll teach you the truth. First thing, let me go ahead and learn you something. Let's go ahead and learn something real quick. Scientifically, the real deal, hair is broken down into 3 types. You have fine, medium, and coarse. Now, when you go down to textures, fine, medium, and coarse, the texture of your hair just simply determines the density of your hair. That's the way that you put a label on the density of your hair. And by density, I'm just gonna use my hand. Now, actually, if I was to use a piece of paper. So if you have very, very coarse hair, your diameter is like this, right? If you have really, really coarse hair, your diameter is like this. If you have medium hair, your diameter is more like this. And then if your hair is very, very fine, the diameter of your hair is like this, okay? So you guys can get the overall idea. Actually, more like this. If your hair is fine, that's the natural diameter of your hair, if that makes sense to you guys. So that is the actual diameter of your hair, and that is how you determine the actual hair typing, okay? So now that you know the diameter of your hair and how to get it, so next, density. So density is literally the amount of strands that you have in your head per square inch, right? So when you look at somebody's head per se, like mine, I actually have higher density. Please don't look because my roots need to be redone and all of that stuff or whatever. Anywho, my hair has a higher density. Like whenever my hair was longer, when it was blown out, it was like big, like huge all over my head, right? If somebody has, you know, lower density, they have fewer strands per square inch, okay? So that's simply like very, very simple. So remember, your diameter is what determines your texture, which is fine, medium, or coarse. And then the density of your hair is determined by how much hair you have per square inch, okay? What really, really inspired me to make this video, outside of me just wanting to teach you guys something, is this guy. So he makes this video, and at first I was gonna, you know, put his video like somewhere here on the screen, but it actually kind of pissed me off, and I was like, I don't want to bring that same energy onto my channel. But basically it was this guy, he was a white guy, and he was basically talking about black people and how, you know, we're kind of gross because we don't really wash our hair every day, and we're not supposed to wash our, you know, we don't wash our hair properly the way we're supposed to, and it's so gross, and you know, our hair could get so dirty and stink and da 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 da. So let me go ahead and learn y'all something real quick. As I said earlier in the video, you guys, the hair chart is like all of the craze in the natural hair community. However, it is not something that is very, very reliable. So let's go ahead and break down the science of your curl pattern. So as you know, and some of you may not, your hair grows out of your follicle. So we actually are taught in school this is across the board, okay? Like cosmetology school, period. In the United States of America, they teach us 4 types of curl patterns, okay? So we have straight, wavy, coily, and curly, okay? So they give us 4 different hair types. They teach us 4 different hair types. And this is how, and scientifically, this is how your body and your actual chemical makeup, your genetic makeup decides what your curl pattern is. So your hair grows out of your follicle. Your hair grows out of a follicle, right? Out of your hair follicle. So let's start with straight hair. So somebody that has straight hair, like bone straight hair, their follicle looks like this, right? It is perfectly round. Their follicle is perfectly round, right? And so the hair is going smooth out. And then as it pertains to oil and moisture and things of that nature, the oil that secretes out of our scalp naturally and out of our body naturally to keep our hair and things of that nature moisturized, like it comes straight down. So if you can imagine somebody that has bone straight hair, any oil that wants to come out, it can go straight down. Like there's no curves, no nothing, you know, so it goes straight down. And so like I said, somebody with straight hair, its follicle is like this, but then as somebody's hair gets curlier, it goes, I can't get the circle round, Jesus, you know what I'm saying though. So like as you go along through the curl patterns, remember, like the bone straight hair is a perfectly round circle for the follicle, and then as it goes lower and lower, the hair gets curlier and curlier and curlier and curlier. So somebody who has 4C hair, like a really, really tight curl pattern, their follicles like this. So as you can imagine, if you have somebody whose follicles like this, all of the oils, all of the secretions that are supposed to get out of their scalp, actually too many of them shoot smooth down. So that's why some Caucasian people, or just people with straight hair, period, because it has nothing to do with black, white, Puerto Rican, Mexican, whatever. Somebody whose hair is naturally, not because their hair has been chemically straightened, but somebody whose follicles like this, obviously the oil is going to go straight down and there's nothing that's blocking it. So a lot of times, you know, a lot of times if they don't wash their hair like every day or every other day, because it's a straight line for the oil to flow through, there's so much secretion, so they have to wash their hair every day, because if they don't, bacteria and things of that nature will begin to build up in the scalp, and that's where lice comes from and things of that nature. Okay, so if you guys can understand the way the curl pattern works, then you can understand why someone with straight hair has to wash their hair almost every day, and somebody with really, really curly hair could possibly go like a month or 2 without washing their hair and it won't be nasty and disgusting. Because just think of the time difference that oil has to travel down the hair strand of a coil that's like this, and then of a coil that's like, you know, super tight. So that's what I want you guys to understand as it pertains to hair typing. That's why most hairstylists are so irritated by it, because for you guys to group all of these different curl patterns into one chart is ignorant, because I'll explain why. Not every follicle on a person's head is the same. So one person could have follicles that are like this size, and then some of the follicles on their head may be like this, some may be like this, some may be like this. You know what I mean? Everybody's follicles on one head could be swollen to different diameters. So to say that one person is 4C that doesn't really make sense, because everybody's follicles are swollen to different diameters. So the next thing that you guys have to know about is the porosity of your hair. In my opinion, porosity is the most important thing, and I'll explain why. The porosity of your hair simply means your hair's ability to obtain and hold moisture. Now, if you're a person with high porosity, that's not really a good thing. That has high porosity's cuticle looks like this. The cuticle is completely raised, so it is really, really easy to obtain moisture, but it is super, super hard to keep the moisture inside. That is because all of the cuticles are facing upward, so they're all like going up and out. So like I said, because they're already open, it's super easy to get moisture in, but the moisture falls right back out. So that's why, I mean, you need to really know the scientific breakdown of your hair specifically before you go online and you look at somebody else. You may see some lady on YouTube and you may be like, oh, our hair textures are the same. No, all that means is that you guys have the same, your follicles are kind of like the same diameter. It doesn't mean that you have the same levels of porosity. So one person could go to a hairstylist and say like, oh yeah, my hair dried and it only took me, you know, like 15-20 minutes. That could be a person whose porosity was different than yours, because it could possibly take you 2 hours under the dryer. So a lot of people don't take that into consideration. So like I said, somebody that has really high porosity, it's really easy for the moisture to get inside, but it's super easy for it to get out. Somebody that has kind of medium porosity or whatever, then, or medium to normal porosity, that's the type of hair where the moisture is easy. It's kind of easy for it to get it in, and it's kind of easy for it to hold too, but you have to, you know, be careful of the different types of styling products that you use. You have to make sure that you're not using anything to open the cuticle. For this type of person, this is great. That's why it's so important. If you guys ever hear about, you know, hairstylists doing cold washes where they seal the cuticle, because back in the day, that was the only way that they knew how to seal the cuticle. Well, nowadays there are products on the market, and I'll leave some in the description box below, and this is actually what all of my products are formulated to do, to seal the cuticle properly in a safe way. And then you have somebody that has normal porosity. Their hair is pretty good for the most part. Like, their hair receives moisture really well, and it releases it when it needs to. It doesn't hold too much of it in, you know, if you understand what I mean. And then there are people who have extremely low porosity, and that's not really a good thing, because it'll be hard to get moisture in, but then once it gets moisture in, it just holds it for dear life. So the porosity of your hair is so important, because that's why when you guys are like, oh Sin, what heat setting do you use for her hair, or my hair is like this, what heat setting do you use for me? Everybody's hair is different. You may see a person on my channel whose hair looks just like you, and I may say, hey, I put the heat at 425 for her, but that may be safe for her because she could have medium to normal porosity, so her cuticle isn't open like that. But if you have very high porosity, you may not be able to do 425. That's why some people are like, oh my God, Sin, the burnt smell, what do I do about the burnt smell? People were like, oh, nano titanium baby bliss, that gives you heat damage. You gave me heat damage. No, you gave yourself heat damage because you don't know your hair. You don't know the density, you don't know the porosity, and you don't know the diameter. So those are things that everybody needs to take into consideration instead of hair typing and doing the hair chart. Now, let me say this. I do not think that the hair typing chart was a horrible invention by any stroke of the imagination, because I think it is a very good way for a consumer or you as a client to understand hair typing and the charts and all of that stuff, and exactly how all of those things work and how they come into fruition and things like that. So I think it is a really good way for people to understand. However, I need you guys to understand that the hair typing chart is not a rule of thumb. I have two main issues with the hair typing chart. The first thing, people act like it is a Bible scripture. It is not a Bible scripture. The hair typing chart was made by Oprah Winfrey's hairstylist, and she's Oprah freaking Winfrey. Like, of course her hairstylist, if they make a hair typing chart, is going to take off like a Bible scripture, of course. It's not anything that we have been tested with State Board, and the hair typing chart is not valid because different things that you need to take into consideration. The only thing that the hair typing chart tells you guys is basically the different, how can I say this? Basically the different types of diameters that your follicle can be swollen to. The hair typing chart only shows you how your texture looks and what type of hair you have, depending on what diameter your follicle is swollen to. That's really all it tells you. It doesn't matter what the diameter of your follicle is, you guys. That is just simply the curl pattern and how tight or how loose your follicle is being swollen. That is it. I understand that things take off because of social media, but you guys really have to educate yourselves on things, because what happens is you guys come on channels like mine or all of these channels and make these comments like, oh my God, that's gonna give heat damage. Oh my God, that's gonna give heat damage. Hot tools do not give heat damage. not understanding natural hair gives heat damage, because the reason people get heat damage is because A, hairstylists are not properly educated, and B, you as a consumer is not properly educated. I check the porosity of my clients' hair whenever they lay back in the shampoo bowl. I'll teach you guys a trick really quick before we end to check your own porosity and see if you have high porosity, medium porosity, or low porosity hair. So we can do two different things. The first thing that I'm going to teach you is what I do in the hair salon, and then the second thing I'm going to teach you is something that you can do at home. So if you're a hairstylist, this is how you check your client's porosity. Before you get their hair wet, or you can get their hair a little wet, you take one strand of hair, just one, maybe even two, just depending on the density and the diameter. So obviously that's something that you need to know about. But you take one of their strands of hair, and obviously lightly, not harshly and like, but you just get one strand of their hair and you take it and you just rub upward. So going that way, like not going this way, the way the cuticle lies, but the opposite way. So just go up and down like this, right? With one strand of hair. And so as you're going like this, if you can feel like if your hand is kind of getting like friction or resistance, they have high porosity hair, because the resistance that you're feeling is their actual cuticle. What you're going to be feeling is their cuticle like opening. You're going to be able to feel the cuticle like open going against your fingers. However, if you're going up and down and it's like silk and it's going like up and down, and mind you, this is before you put any conditioner on, because you don't want to do this test after you wash it and after you put on conditioner, because at that point you've used, especially if you use good products, you've already filled the cuticle and caused it to shut a little bit, so it won't really give you a good reading. So anyway, like you're just gonna go back and forth, and if it's like really smooth, they have low porosity hair, and then you know how to move forward. So that is how I determine what type of deep conditioning treatment I give my client, because a lot of times you guys think that you can use your eyes to determine the health of somebody's hair. Just like I posted a video, and one of my clients, she had heat trained or heat damage, whatever y'all want to call it, hair, and somebody was like, oh my god, you're crazy, her hair is so damaged because it's straight. Because literally you guys look at damage to hair by whether or not their hair is straight or if it's curly. If they have curly pieces and straight pieces, their hair is damaged, and that is not how you determine if whether or not somebody's hair is damaged. Because there are women who have full-fledged relaxers that get relaxers every couple of months that have extremely healthy hair. And there are women who are natural, who don't put any chemicals in their hair. They have extremely healthy hair. And there are women who get relaxers that have extremely damaged hair. And there are women who are natural that have extremely damaged hair. It's just all about how you take care of your hair and what you know about it. So I challenge you guys. And lastly, the way that you will be able to test your own porosity at home, you simply can just take a glass of water. Just make sure it's a glass so you can see through it. Honestly, the water, I would prefer for the water to be like lukewarm. You don't want it to be too cold, and you don't want it to be too hot, because remember, hot water opens the cuticle and cold water seals the cuticle. So we want it to be like right in the middle, like room temperature. Okay, so get like 1 or 2 strands of your hair, right? And I know it sounds creepy, but you shed hair every day anyway, so I don't know, brush your hair, or just, girl, pull a piece of hair out, girl. Place your hair into the glass of lukewarm to room temperature water, and then wait about 20 to 30 minutes, and then come back. If your hair has floated all the way to the bottom of the glass, that means that you have high porosity hair. How do we determine that? That is because your hair floated all the way to the bottom. That means that all of your cuticles were open, and your hair was like, oh, this water, feed me, and it just absorbed all of the water and sunk all the way to the bottom. If it floated all the way to the top, that means that your cuticle is completely sealed. What's wrong? Would you get out? You're so annoying.
Say it.
You're sexy. Your hair is floating all the way at the top. That means that you have low porosity hair, which means that your cuticle is completely sealed and no water got in there and it was just sitting on there, and that's not really a good thing either. But if your hair is like floating somewhere like in the middle or not all the way at the bottom, if it's like lingering still at the top or in the middle, then you have medium to normal porosity hair, which is ideal. Okay, so once you know your hair, then you can determine what types of products you use. So if you're a person that has really high porosity hair, then obviously you're gonna need a whole lot of moisturizing conditioners. You know, you're gonna need a whole lot of deep penetrating conditioners and things of that nature, right? So that way you can aim yourself towards moisture enriched products, right? And then obviously if you're a person whose cuticle is always open and you have high porosity hair, because some people think that if their diameter is really thick and if their diameter is really thick and their density is really high, then they can bump the heat all the way up. But you are so wrong. You can have the thickest hair ever, the thickest hair in the world, but if you have thick hair and high porosity, you are going to get heat damage. So as a hairstylist, that is how I determine how high or how low I have my flat irons up. I determine that before I even wash my client's hair. Okay, so like I said, if you are a person who has high porosity hair, then you know that you're going to need to stick in the moisturizing category. If you're somebody, and then not only that, you need to do more deep conditioning treatments, and you need a lot of heat protectants, and silicone based products aren't necessarily the worst idea for you, because you know, whenever you have a silicone based product, it puts a coating on your hair and it kind of trains the cuticle to go downward. So that's something that you guys need to think about. That's why educating yourself is so important. And then two, if you are a person who has medium to normal porosity hair, then you know your hair care regimen is kind of normal. Those are the people who I use for normal, you know, to medium porosity hair. Those are the people that can use, you know, a little higher heat temperature, a little higher of a heat setting, because their cuticle is shut, so it's not a crap load of heat getting inside of their hair cuticle. I'm not going to give them heat damage like that. And then by you knowing that you have lower porosity, you have medium to, you know, normal porosity hair, you know the different types of products that you can use. So because your hair cuticle is already getting moisture and holding it properly, you don't want to use a whole lot of oil-based products, because that's gonna wear your hair down. It's gonna make it take longer to dry. Then you'll be a little bit more prone to heat damage, because you just have products just sitting and caked on top of a cuticle that is already closed. So if you're getting a deep penetrating conditioning treatment and your hair already has a bunch of moisture that it's not releasing, you're weighing your hair down. Okay, and then if you're a person that has low porosity hair, obviously you're really gonna need to use different shampoos, like more types of clarifying shampoos, protein treatments, different things like that. You're gonna need to use more clarifying shampoos, more tea trees and things of that nature, because you want to stimulate your cuticle. You see what I mean? Like if you're a person who has high porosity hair and you're constantly using tea tree shampoo to open the cuticle, which opens the cuticle, you're just like reiterating the problem. And then people are like, oh my God, why is her hair so squeaky clean? Or where is all the static coming from? It's because you're a person who already has high porosity hair, and then you're using products to open the cuticle even more. Okay, so that's what I mean by knowing your hair type, knowing the texture. And that's why the hair texture chart is so flawed, because it creates this illusion to you guys that, you know, that's the basis of natural hair, and it's not. You guys are missing so much. That's why I want you guys to understand how your natural hair really works, and the science of your actual hair. So many times hairstylists get so discredited as professionals because you guys don't look at the hair that's growing from your head like a real science. However, you look at your skin as like a real science, whereas there's not even that much hair on your face. There's like microscopic hairs, but you have like millions and millions of follicles on top of your head, and cosmetologists are licensed to treat all of these things. You guys, please, please, please stop listening to these gurus that are here on YouTube unless they have scientific information to back the things that they are telling you. Make sure everything matches. Ask the hairstylist. Stop saying, oh, what's my hair type? I have so many clients come sit in my chair saying, what's my hair type? That's the wrong question. You shouldn't be asking me what your hair type is. Once I tell you, who cares? Okay, that's the way that your curls form. What you need to be asking me is then, what is the density of my hair? What is my diameter? What is my porosity like? Because those are the things that will help you manage your overall treatment goals. And these are the things that once you master will grow out your hair. My client Raven that I posted the other day, the one that's thinking about cutting their hair, everybody's like, oh my God, how did her hair get so long? Oh my God, how did their hair get so long? And everybody wants to argue like, oh, it's genetics. Mind you, the people, Black women can grow long hair. This is an argument that people want to have all the time. You do not have to be mixed with something foreign outside of the African American race or outside of the African race to have long hair. There are women that don't have any ancestry from anywhere else. I know a woman, she's from Ghana, and her hair is so long it will be considered like 4C hair, and it's like to her butt. It is some of the coarsest hair I have ever seen. Like, you guys, like, it's like whenever it's wet, it's like right here, but then whenever it's straight, it just goes like past her butt. You guys, it doesn't always mean that somebody is mixed with something because their hair is long. Like, Black women are not genetically disposed to shorter hair, but for the longest we've been using pressing combs, because remember, pressing combs were made forever ago, and then after pressing combs we did jerry curls and then relaxers. So we've been chemically changing our follicles and our curl pattern and our textures forever. Like, there were girls getting relaxers when they were 2-3 years old, like 4, 5, 6 years old. They're putting relaxers in girls' hair because we didn't understand our curl pattern, and we still don't understand our curl pattern. I think that the whole natural movement is amazing. You know how women are beginning to love their hair, beginning to love their texture, and beginning to love the skin that they're in. But as you love the skin that you're in, educate yourself on the skin that you're in. Come to understand the difference between the skin that you're in and the skin that I am in, because everybody's texture is different. There is no way humanly possible that you can get a Black woman and put her natural curl pattern into one hair type on the chart when she has millions of follicles on her head swollen to different diameters. There is no way that I can say one person is 4B or one person is 4C. Will you guys see me, address like, oh, 4C, 4B hair? Because some people are into it, and I think it is a really good way to make you guys understand. But is it Bible? Absolutely not. However, the density, the diameter, and the porosity of your hair is Bible. So let's get into it. I love you guys. If you want more educational videos like this, make sure you let me know. If you are not doing so already, make sure you are subscribed here to my channel, and when you do so, make sure you click that bell, girl, because if you don't click the bell, then you won't be notified whenever I make a post. And make sure you are following me on all forms of social media, especially Instagram. That's like my favorite, girl. You know what I'm saying, girl? But I love you guys so much. Make sure you rate, comment, and subscribe, and share this video with somebody who is like, a natural Nazi that want to beat somebody over the head with a freaking hair chart. I love natural hair. I got some little natural roots going on around here. That looks so, oh my God, that looks so janky. But I love you guys so much. If you don't do anything else, love the skin that you're in, and I will see you later. Bye, girl.